We'll start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha 3 times in English. To the founder, the sent and destroyer, one God beyond the to the founder, and now the center of the story, the community, the account of the story. This is the founder. The complete imperfection, knowledge, teacher of God, the authority of Scotland was okay. We are going to skip to refuge and bodhicitta and come back for the mandala offering to welcome Geshe back to the center. Once in English, twice in Tibetan. Refuge and bodhicitta. Oh, thanks. I go for refuge until I am by this team of the may I important to that gone we need you come up here. I'm gonna things to John. He's gonna have him to Geshe. You're gonna take him from Geshe and put them on the, there's a tray right behind the television. The rest of us will be reciting, chanting the short mandala offering. We're gonna do it very slowly in Tibetan. Saji ho.
Here. So we can take a few moments to cultivate a good intention, motivation for being here. We can think the purpose of my life is to be help and benefit to others as much as possible. And to be able to be help and benefit to others. I need to have less negative thoughts, feelings, the afflictive emotions. And to cultivate and develop more positive thoughts, emotions, such as to love, compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, patience, and so forth. And in order to reduce those disturbing negative feelings and thoughts, and to improve those positive state of minds, I need to practice, contemplate, meditate. And for that, I need to be reminded of those practices, as well as continue to study and learn again and again. Therefore, may our coming together to listen, to discuss, to reflect, contemplate, may all of this become cause and conditions to reduce and minimize those negative thoughts, to cultivate and improve positive thoughts, and to achieve fully awakened state, so we can be greatest help, benefit to all sentient beings. Okay. So for next, a month or two, we'll be going through this particular text. It's very short. It's only 8 verses, but very profound. And it's called 8 verses of mind training or thought transformations, or Lojong in Tibetan. And it's a practice that can be practiced by a very beginner on the beginner level, as well as it can be practiced by very highly developed practitioners, advanced practitioners. Even the bodhisattvas can practice these 8 verses, to more high, more profound levels, so again, it can be very helpful, beneficial, not only for beginners, but also for very advanced practitioners, And the source of such teachings, if you go back to further in the earliest, in Buddha's own canon, there are 4, sixth volume, the Peboche, which is the Buddha talk about the Bodhisattva path, Bodhisattva's path, the Bodhisattva contact, practices. In those canon, you find some of those practice in those canons. And then afterwards, you find in Nagarjuna's precious garland. He might not go as detailed, but you find some of them in his precious garland, the source of those teachings. And then after Nagarjuna, you find in Shantideva's, the great Bodhisattva way to life, you find many of those practice in that. Many of those practice in much more details in Guide the Bodhisattva way of life, which is one of the gem of, like the gem, very powerful text with very powerful practices. And then through that, pass through the Kadamba master, Adisha, Divam Karash, and from Adishas, then the Kadamba masters. And so this text itself was written by one of the Tibetan Kadamba masters, Geshe Langri. And his monastery in Tibet, central Tibet, is in Pembo. I had the great fortune or opportunity to visit that monastery and also receive the oral transmission of this from Lama Sopa Rinpoche in that monastery. So it was such a wonderful and fortune to receive these teachings in that very monastery, very place where the author was, Vishnanatha, and also to receive from someone like Dr. Lama Sopa Rinpoche, who embodied those teachings, who practiced these teachings, not just in the word, but in practice. He really embodied these practices all his life. So I think from that perspective, I think I was very fortunate to get that blessings, at least in that way. It is said, before, even though those you find the earliest source of these teachings, but there isn't particular scripture or text with this title Lojong, even though the Bodhisattva's way of life is Lojong, but it is not called Lojong. But after this text, then it came, known as this title, with the title of the Lojong practices, and it is mentioned that earliest, most of those teachings were passed orally, mostly orally. And this author, Langri, he thought if you don't write down, it can be lost. It will get lost. So he started to write and left this precious gem with us. And then later, some other masters wrote many other Lojong, and his commentary is the 7 Point of Mind Training by Geshe Chekawa. Kadamba Master Geshe Chekawa is not a commentary word by word, verse by verse, but it's a commentary in the meaning, the essence. So he presents from 7 points. So that is, and then there, of course, later, and there are many others, Lojong's tax practices that came. Um, yeah, okay. The purpose of our life is to be happy ourselves and to provide happiness to others. And that is the purpose of our life, and that is also the purpose of studying the Dharma and practicing the Dharma. To achieve our own inner peace and happiness, and also to help others in whatever way to them to achieve inner peace, happiness, as well as whatever temporary needs and help they need. And so that is the very purpose of the Buddha, to give the teachings, as well as that is the purpose of us to study and practice. Mm. And in relation to that, everyone, not only ourselves, not only all the human beings, but also all the animals and all other beings, seen, unseen beings, everyone wishes to be happy and no one wants sufferings. It's for sure. Everyone is trying to achieve happiness, improve happiness, avoid sufferings and the cause of sufferings. But even though we do not wish any sufferings, even though we wish happiness all the time, but at the moment that doesn't seem to be the case. We continue to experience a lot of pain and suffering in our life. We struggle to find true, lasting inner peace and happiness. Why is that? In terms of our wish, we want to be happy. Not only we want to be happy, we put a lot of effort throughout our life to be happy. It's not just we just want to be happy and we don't put effort. Our life, going to the school, getting a job, and doing whatever your hobbies, whatever your other activities, we do with wanting to have happiness. We do that we do that to reduce the sufferings, to be free from the sufferings. But despite that, we still struggle with true happiness, and we continue to experience a lot of problem and suffering in our life. Why is that? The Buddha says, it's because we follow the selfish attitude. We follow the selfish attitudes because there's too much selfish attitude, self-centeredness. As long as we have self-centeredness, as long as we have selfish attitude, then we continue to experience suffering. The main cause of our suffering, the root cause of suffering. Of course, there are many causes and conditions for happiness and suffering. It's not just one cause, two causes, but there are many, many, many causes and conditions. Internal, external cause and condition for our happiness, for our sufferings. But the root cause, the fundamental root cause of suffering is our own selfish attitude of self-centeredness and self-grasping ignorance. And the root cause of inner happiness, true happiness, is the cherishing thought for others, the opposite of self-cherishing, the opposite of selfish attitude, the opposite of self-centeredness, which is cherishing others, cherishing others, which means, true love, compassion, the altruistic, awakening the mind of bodhicitta that cherish others. Those are the root cause of inner peace and happiness. So at the moment, we have too much selfish attitude and self-grasping, and we have little, very little true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and wisdom relies on the ultimate truth. Due to that, that's why even though we wish happiness, we don't have, we struggle to have that inner peace and happiness. Even though we do not wish suffering, we continue to experience sufferings. And if we look in the, in your own life, and if you look in the world in general, who are more happy people? More selfish people is more happy, or less selfish and who are very loving, kind, compassionate person, are they more happy? You can see the difference. You can observe, Mm. From outside, sometimes, even you are very selfish persons, from outside, because if you have a lot of things, from outside, it might seem they are happier or they are happy. But like if you go in much more deeper, they have a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. Even though outside they might present being happy, but if when you are so much selfish, self-centeredness, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of worry, whether people like me or not, whether people love me or not, whether someone will be nice to me or not, whether someone will take advantage of me or not, all of this, whether I will get that or not, or whether I will be able to maintain this or that or not, whether I will lose this and that, the more stronger selfish you have, the more stronger worry, fear, anxiety you have that, So therefore, even though outside it might look present, they might be present as being happy, but inside there's a lot of that, On the other hand, when someone is less selfish, more kind, compassion, more caring, more cherishing for others, they have less fear about themselves, all of that, And due to that, there's less anxiety, worry about themselves, and then, they are more peaceful, more calm, more happy. Also, when you're too selfish, you have less real caring, loving people around you. Whereas you are really caring, loving, kind, compassion, less selfish, there will be more people, even the animals, who is more truly loving, caring, true friends, Mm. And we can see with our experience, Do you like to be around people who is too selfish? Or do you like to be around someone who is kind, compassionate, loving, caring? That is everyone want to be around someone who is compassionate, caring, loving, less selfish. So then you know, when you are that, then there will be people who feel good being around you, you know, peaceful, calm, and so, and also, you know, they feel that positive energy and their love also, it produces them true love, compassion towards yourself. On the other side, you know, when you are too much selfish attitudes, too much self-centeredness, then you produce that energy and also you attract similar energy. You attract similar energy, you know. So here the adversarial mind training deal with that, you know. In one is a teaching and practice how to reduce that selfish attitude. And it's a teaching and practice how to increase and improve, you know, loving kindness, true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and other positive qualities such as patience and so forth. Also is a teaching and practice how to transform, you know, how to transform the suffering and the problem and the challenges into something opportunity, something positive, something meaningful, virtuous. You know, when we encounter some, when we face and encounter some unfortunate event in our life, you know, some painful event in our life, you know, some challenge difficult in our life, you know, instead of being overwhelmed by that, how can we transform that into something positive? How can we is how can we transform that into something positive, you know, something meaningful, something virtuous? You know, so it's all about this is the mind, the logic of mind training is about that. It's training your mind to look at everything as a positive, something positive, and transform it into something virtuous, something meaningful. How can we transform a challenge into an opportunity? How can we transform suffering into a happiness? Hmm? So with the 8 verses, then you can see the first 7 verses deal with the method, and the last one, the 8th one, deal with the wisdom. So the wisdom and method, as I've mentioned many times, in your battery is running low. Take care of it.
Say something?
Yes, please.
So my husband was a psychology professor. And he said the same thing you just said. It's well known.
Hmm?
will be able to see, but we can't,
They can see,
they can see.
but there won't be anything on CV.
So we were talking about these 8 verses. The first 7 verses deal with the method. The method is the practice of loving kindness, compassion, both with the mind, patience, the practice of physical disciplines, enthusiasm in virtues, the practice of also concentration, so forth. They fall in the part of the method. Whereas the wisdom, there can be many different levels of wisdom. Wisdom relies on impermanence. Wisdom relies on gross level of selflessness. Wisdom relies on the subtle level of selflessness, the emptiness. The wisdom relies on Four Noble Truth and so forth. All these are part of the wisdom, and so in Buddhist path, the method and wisdom are equally important. You need both of them. And as I mentioned many times, in one of the Indian master, he used this example, the bird flying over the ocean to the shore with the 2 wings. And so to free from the samsara and the suffering and to reach your spiritual goal of fully awakening, you need both wisdom and compassion. If you lack one of them, then you cannot. Even if you have compassion, if you don't have wisdom, you cannot achieve the fully awakened state. You have the wisdom, but if you don't have the compassion, the method, also you cannot achieve the state of fully awakened. So both are equally important. And not only in spiritual path that both are important. I think even in our everyday life, they both are equally important for your own happiness and for happiness of others. Even we don't talk about enlightenment, fully awakened, even we don't talk about future life and all that, even in just this life, even in just taking just this life, we need both compassion and wisdom to create more peaceful, harmony, and happy society, happy family, happy individuals. When one of them is lacking, when we have only one of them, then it becomes more difficult to create that kind of, environment or that kind of experience situations. And we see, sometimes we might have compassion for someone, you want to help, you want to be benefit, you want to support, but sometimes we don't have the right wisdom, and then we are unable to be helpful, beneficial. We experience that all the time, or a lot of time. Your intentions is there, good intention is there, compassion is there. You really want to help and support that person, benefit that person with whatever problem they are going through. But sometimes when you try to reach out them, when you try to help them, sometimes the result might not come great, as you wish, and that is because it's not due to the lack of compassion method, it's due to lack of the wisdom. Because we don't have wisdom and skillful means to see how to help, how to benefit that person, what will be the best way to help. you know. Should I say something? Shouldn't I say something? How should I say something? Should I reach out? Shouldn't I reach out? If I reach out, how should I reach out? All of that, you know. So due to not knowing that, not having the wisdom, then not being able to reach and help them as much as we want. Sometimes we have the wisdom, the skillful means that we have all, you know, the wisdom and skill will be help and benefit, but sometimes we don't reach out and we don't help. Not because of lack of wisdom, because of lack of compassion, because we don't care about that person's problem, sufferings, you know. So that is the case, you know, and it's the same with ourselves, you know. Sometimes we don't have compassion for ourselves. Sometimes we have compassion for ourselves. We don't have the right wisdom to take care of ourselves. You know, sometimes we might have the wisdom to take care of ourselves, but we don't have compassion for ourselves, so we don't take care of ourselves. You know, look after ourselves. So again, you know, on the individual level, on the family, the society, the world we live in, to create more happy, peaceful, harmonious world, family, individual, we need both wisdom and compassion, both method and wisdom. They both are equally important. We cannot ignore either of them. You know, both are equally important. Both are equally important. And that is what we see in the world today. You know, some leaders are very capable, but they don't have the compassion. They don't have the compassion. Some, they are very kind and compassion, but they don't have the skill, the wisdom to solve the problem, you know, to solve the problems, to create better society, better world. In terms of intention, they have the best intentions. They are really good heart. They want to do something, but sometimes they don't have the right skills. They don't have the right skills, the wisdom, method to do that. And whereas some, they're very smart and they can solve many of those problems. They can reduce many of those pain and suffering and the problem in the world. They have that intelligence, they have that wisdom, they have that sharp mind, but they don't have the right intentions, the compassion, sense of care and concern for others' beings. And so they use that their intelligence or their wisdom just for their personal gains. So it's clear. So it's clear we can win. Also, to be a good leader, you need both. Sometimes we think, oh, compassion is enough. Sometimes we feel, you know, intelligence is enough. But no, to be a really good leader, you need both qualities. Both qualities is important. So yeah. Okay, I think maybe. So that was what I was saying, that we need both method and wisdom, and this text deal with the method and wisdom for the first 7 verses with the method and the last one with the wisdom. Okay, it covered both. So the first verse is the practice or training to hold others, you know, as more precious than wishful feeling jewel, holding others as more precious than even wishful feeling jewels. And that means when we hold others as more precious than wishful feeling jewels, we are engaged in practice. This is a part of practicing. This is a part of practice, training your mind to cherish others. To cherish others is part of practice, meditations, training to cherish others. If you have something like wishful feeling jewel, you will cherish it very much. You will hold it very dearly. You will cherish it very much. Same way, here we cherish each and every sentient being, even more precious, even more dear, even more valuable than the wishful feeling jewels. So that is what here. Determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than wishful feeling jewel, I hold them most dear at all times. So we try to train our mind through reflection, contemplations, and develop sense of feeling that each and every sentient being is very precious. Each and every sentient being is very valuable. Each and every sentient being is very dear, and they are more precious than wishful feeling jewels. And that is so because, every happiness we experience, temporary ultimate happiness, including the ultimate happiness of fully enlightenment, a fully awakened state, they all come through sentient beings. They all come through sentient beings, other sentient beings. To have this life for us come through other sentient beings, through our parent. Without our parent, we wouldn't have this life. We wouldn't have this life. Without this life, we wouldn't have all the happiness or joy that we experience in this life. Whatever joy, happiness, good thing, excellent we experience in this life because of this life, and this life come through others, such as our parent. Whatever we experience, a little bit of confidence, let's say that, we have a house to keep it cool when it's too hot, to keep it warm when it's too cold, or even to just have shelters, basic shelters, so that we can be safe from too cold, too hot. That comes through others, other sentient beings. That comes through other sentient beings. That comes through other sentient beings. When you are not well, when we have some kind of uncomfortable, unhealth, some illness, uncomfortable, that we have medicine, the cure, treatment to keep us more healthy and more better. Where does that come from? It comes from others, other sentient beings, doctors and nurses, those who produce those medicine, those treatments, all of them. Without them, we will not have lived as much as we have lived. We will not have as comfort as we will have now. And we have the clothes that we wear, again, to keep warm and whatever. Again, it all comes from others. From others. The education we get so that we can have a job, so that we can earn, so that we can have whatever need we need, come through others. The teachers throughout our life, assistant teachers, the management of the school, the educations, people who manage that, administrations, people who work in that, people who have developed those curriculum over the decades or centuries. It all comes through that whatever education we get so that we can have a better job or that we can make earning. Again, it comes through others. The food that we enjoy, especially in modern time, again, it comes through others. We don't produce our own food. Even some who cook, even some who have little garden, still they can only grow little, most thing they buy. Even you are able to grow all of them, still at the very beginning you depend on seeds from others. You depend on many other things to keep your garden or farm well, whether you are using different trucks or other form of that, still you are dependent on others. In the old time, they depend on animals to what you call flour. Now we depend on machines, but all this machine and all this, even you are plowing the animal, it depends on those animals. So even you are growing yourself still is dependent on others. So if we look in that way, to make us comfortable, confident, to use these technologies, so that we can talk, we can communicate, we can record, we can listen, we can look. Again, it all comes through others. The transportation that we take for our traveling, short to long travel, whether it's train, airplane, car, again, it all comes through others. So basically, all our temporary happiness, everything that we experience in this life is very much dependent on others. It comes through others. Kindness of others. Contributions of others. A lot of time we don't reflect that. And therefore we don't feel that. Do you get it? We don't feel the kindness of others. We might feel kindness of few individuals, but we don't feel the kindness of all other sentient beings who are behind all the comfort we enjoy, all the happiness we enjoy, because we don't think, we don't reflect, we don't contemplate. But if we really started to reflect, think, and contemplate, we begin to feel their contribution. Even we don't know those individuals, even though they might be a stranger to us, or some of them, maybe even that, maybe we have some conflict, but indirectly they are contributing towards our well-being, our happiness, some way, another way. Through that, then that's part of the meditations. The meditation is to reflect, contemplate, think of each of that, and to feel the kindness of them. If you feel the kindness of them, you will begin to cherish them. If you feel the kindness of them, you will feel closer to them. Do you get it? If you feel kindness of them, you will feel closer to them. You will feel more dear to you, yourself dear to them. You will feel dearness, closeness, kindness, compassion. And if you feel that, it's much more easy to cherish them. It's much more easy to feel compassion to them. It's much more easy to feel true love, affection to them, and to have cherishing thought and to have bodhicitta mind. And that is, if we go through these verses itself, it's not a very complicating verses to understand. But to practice is the one, that is where I was saying, this is the verses that is very helpful, not only for the beginner, but for even advanced students, Until we have these realizations to be able to feel the kindness of each and every sentient beings and to be able to cherish them, we need to continue to practice. We need to continue to practice. This first verse could be practiced for your lifetime or many lifetimes. It could be, to be able to develop that feeling, of kindness of others and thereby cherishing them. So here, not only the temporary happiness or pleasure or comfort or convenience that we enjoy in this life, they come through others. Not only they come through others, depend on others. Even the happiness of future life come through others. Even to have a future good life, high rebirth and good life, we need to create a cause and conditions. Without creating cause and conditions, we cannot. To create cause and conditions means engage in a practice of ethical discipline, generosity, patience, and right dedication, and so forth. And to practice all of that, we depend on others. First of all, to be able to understand what is ethical, unethical, it also depends on others through educations. When we are born, we are not born with knowing what is ethical, what is unethical, what is moral. We learn all of that later through our educations, whether it's, spiritual educations or from, other education, we learn about that. Through understanding, by learning, we understand what is moral, what is ethical, what is immoral, what is unethical. Then we try to live our life as much as ethical as possible, as moral as possible. To practice, we do know, and to know, we need to have the awareness, education, and those education come through others. Not only that, even in the practice from Buddhist point, moral discipline, the object to practice with moral discipline is others, because it is a practice that you try to restrain or abstain or restrain from harming others, engaging in harmful action towards others. So there must be another sentient beings where otherwise you might harm them through your body, speech, and mind, but through this practice, you try to restrain and refrain from hurting and harming others. So it's in order to engage that practice, you need to have that object to practice, and that object is other sentient beings. Even from that perspective, to practice and to live moral, ethical discipline and to practice is very much dependent on others. Practice generosity. It depends on others. If there's no one there, no other sentient being, you to practice generosity. There's no object of practicing generosity. So you need the object to practice generosity. You need the object to practice the patience, the other beings. So from all of that, then we know, all the cause that we need to have a better, higher rebirth and better life in the futures, the cause and condition that we need to create, it depends on others. Only through depending on others, we can create those cause and conditions. So therefore, since the cause and conditions that produce higher rebirth and better life in the future, or more happy life in the future, it depends on others. So therefore, again, those happiness are very much dependent on others. And happiness of liberation, happiness of ultimate happiness of fully enlightened state, fully awakened state, also very much dependent on others. Without engaging both of the path and the practice, such as, path 10 bhumi and the practice of 6 perfection, 10 perfection, you cannot achieve the ultimate happiness, fully awakened, fully enlightened state. Only through those practice, one can achieve that. In order to engage in those practice, the practice of, as with the practice of generosity, you depend on others. The practice of moral discipline, you depend on others. Practice, in order to practice and perfect the practice of patience, it depends on others. In order to practice the joyous effort in the virtues, also to some degree, it depends on others. Again, you need to know how to practice it. And to that, in order to know how to practice, you have to study and learn that. And then that depends on others, other teachers, Same with the practice of concentration, practice of wisdom, all 6 perfections. We can practice and complete and perfect them by depending on others' contributions, others' support, by depending on others. To enter the Bodhisattva path, you need to have Bodhicitta mind. Without Bodhicitta mind, you cannot enter the first path of the Bodhisattvas. In order to enter the Bodhicitta mind, you need to have true love, compassion. To have true love, compassion, to develop true love, compassion, Bodhicitta mind, you need the other sentient beings, the object of your compassion, the object of your loving kindness, the object of your bodhicitta. Without them, I cannot develop compassion, true love, true compassion by relying on this object. I cannot develop bodhicitta mind by relying on this computer. If the object of my compassion, this one, I cannot really develop. It has to be a sentient beings who is suffering. It has to be a sentient beings. Another sentient beings who is suffering. So without that object, another sentient being who is suffering, I cannot really develop and improve and complete and perfect my loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. Without that, I cannot even enter the first path, into the Bodhisattva path. So therefore, even entering Bodhisattva path depends on other sentient beings. And then making progress in Bodhisattva path and cultivating higher level of realization and higher level of happiness until the fully enlightenment, they all depend on others. So therefore, here is saying, since someone who inspired on Bodhisattva path, the ultimate goal is to achieve fully awakened state to be greatest benefit to all sentient beings. That's the ultimate goal. Ideal ultimate goal is to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state, fully enlightened or fully awakened state, so that we can be greatest help benefit each and every sentient beings. In order to achieve that, then we have to depend on other sentient beings. Without other sentient beings, there's no way we can achieve that, accomplish that. It's only by through the other sentient beings that we can achieve that, we can accomplish that. Therefore, sentient beings are more precious than wish-fulfilling jewels. The wish-fulfilling jewel can only give you certain comfort, temporary comfort and pleasure, but it cannot give you the ultimate happiness. But whereas by depending on sentient beings, we can achieve ultimate happiness. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Why sentient beings are more precious than wish-fulfilling jewels? If we use reasoning and logic, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. But in terms of our feeling, we don't feel that way. We feel, $100 is more precious than another being. $1,000 is more precious than that being. 100,000, 1 million, billion, trillion, they are more precious, more dear to us than that being. Because we hadn't meditated, contemplated enough. If we really meditate, contemplate again and again, every day, and not only every day, again and again, many times in a day, slowly, you begin to feel the kindness or other sentiments that you haven't felt at the moment. At the moment, we only feel very few people's kindness. And even that changes from time to time. At the moment, we feel kindness of that sentient beings. After maybe 1 year or 1 decade, we feel differently. So, the reason we are because we haven't really meditated and contemplated enough. If we meditate, contemplate enough, slowly, we will begin to feel the kindness of each and every sentient beings, the preciousness of each and every sentient beings. Not only preciousness, but even more precious than wish-fulfilling jewels. And when you feel that, when you feel their kindness, their preciousness, then definitely you will feel more closer to them. You will feel more, you feel they are more dear to you, more close to them. And then when you feel that, then cultivating true love, compassion, bodhicitta become much more easy. Easy to feel loving kindness, easy to feel true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. And those cherishing others, the thought of cherishing others. So this is the training on that. This is the meditation training on that. And as I said, it can be training for whole our life, just this verse, to be able to have the result from this practice, in order to have the realizations or the result from just that one verse, could be lifetime practice. So therefore, even though it is one verse, but it contains such a vast practice, such a vast and very profound practice that could make a huge difference in our life. Not only futures and enlightenment, even in this life. When you begin to feel kindness of all the sentient beings, when you can begin to feel everyone's very close and dear to you, wouldn't your life be much more better than having, oh, this person doesn't like me, this person doesn't, love me, or this person doesn't care me, or this person's, all of that, and thereby creating fear, worry, anxiety, creating some kind of distance, creating some kind of wall with others. Instead, you feel close to everyone, just as you can feel close to one of the person who's very close in your life. When you meet that person, someone very close, it gives you good feelings, happy feelings, pleasant feelings. Same way, imagine that you feel same with all others all the time. When you feel that, there's no space for loneliness. Do you get it? At the moment, we live in such a big world full of millions of people, still people feel loneliness. Do you get it? New York, look at that. When you get out of your room, it's full of people all the time, buzzing, but still so many people feel lonely. So many feel lonely. Why? Because they don't feel anyone among those people dear to them, close to them. You know, they don't feel any of those are very close to them. Any of them, they don't feel dear to them. They don't feel their kindness. They don't feel their kindness. All of that. But once you start to feel that, then you know there's no space and reason to feel loneliness as well. So again, it can have so many different positive impact in your life. Or trust other beings. That is another big issue that people have problem with trusting others. And because of that, again, it creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and so forth. And that become again, pain and sufferings. So yeah, I think maybe today so that is the meaning of the first verse. Okay. I can take questions if anyone has any questions. Yes, please.
What do you consider sentient beings? Do you think monkey is sentient?
Yes, all the animals are considered sentient beings in Buddhism. In Buddhism, anything that has consciousness, the mind, is considered sentient beings.
So we can.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because of the Jack and Mui, we can develop compassion. We can learn patience. And we can learn many other things from them. Maybe, I don't know,
How to relax.
Lord, that is another good thing. Yeah, how to relax. That how to relax will be another things.
How to stay in the moment.
And also you can see, sometimes. Oh, okay. And also, I mean, compared to human beings, sometimes the animal, sometimes when the owner is not frustrated or upset, and even you are not good state, and that they are so calm, peaceful, and they try to keep quiet, they don't argue with you. I think that is why people like that, have their like to have the dogs. With human being we argue, we fight, quarrel, argue, So again, like that. So anyway, so yeah, in Buddhism we consider anything that has consciousness of the mind as a sentient beings, except for the Buddha. Yeah, that way. Anyone who has consciousness of mind who is not Buddha is a sentient beings. So yeah.
Well, one cell organism, would that also be sentience?
Well, my hand is not a sentient being. My head, my bones. I wouldn't say that sentient beings. Yeah.
Ants, snakes,
Mhm.
flies, bees.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, please.
I have some South Texas experience of fire ants.
Fire ants.
Well, one of the things that I notice about fire ants is that individually they're very small and don't seem like much, and I have serious doubts as to just how much of a mind a single fire ant possesses.
Mhm.
But fire ants, I believe, are like cells in bodies. And when you bring them, the whole community together, there is a mind. And there is something that seems as almost sentient. So I watched some, I was at a retreat in Texas, at a Vipassana. retreat. And while I was walking around observing noble silence, I took a stick and I thrust it into a fire ant nest to see, to watch their reaction. It's immediate and it's just overwhelmed. They all come boiling out of the nest. They do it immediately and they are all looking for whatever the threat is to protect their home, their tribe. Much better than we do. But whether they're more effective or not, all depends.
Yeah.
But it's so the sentience might not be for each individual, might not apply to each individual in some cases. Any more than it applies to my little finger. Because they're kind of organs of a greater body. And honeybees kind of the same way, I think.
Also, I think that at the moment we don't know enough those animals. We haven't studied enough. A lot of animals which we thought they were not sentient beings many times ago. Now with more studies and careful observations and all, they are beginning to see they have similar feeling like we have. Before they said they have no feelings, A lot of animals were considered they don't have any feelings. But that had changed from the science point of view, scientific from science. Well, also same with all smaller, all these like ants and all these smaller. At the moment, a lot of them feel maybe they don't have same feeling like we have or other bigger animals. But then I think if we study enough, then from Buddhist point of view, we regard them as sentient beings. Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to get too much into whether each individual ant has.
Yeah.
If the colony certainly,
Mm-hmm.
I think that matters almost as much. And if I don't care enough about them and the way I treat them, then I usually won't care enough about how I treat any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the online? No. Then we'll do the dedications. Okay.
I have a new list, but it's not very long, so if anyone wants to add names to it, let us know. I'll take the honors.
Yep.
We dedicate the merit created by this teaching tonight to all beings everywhere on every prayer list. And we dedicate for those experiencing obstacles, specifically Jana, Adrian, and Lyra, for those experiencing illness, specifically Janine, Jane, and Mary Jo, and those who are dying or who have died in the last 49 days. Mary Ann Handrick, Dawn's mother, and David M.
Could you add Patty and Bill to the people to the prayer list
To
illness?
Okay. Any others?
Tony to prayer of illness. Maddie,
Illness?
it's okay.
No, okay, thank you. No more? We'll do the general dedication prayer. We'll do it once in Tibetan. Gewadi. John said,
Sherab. Ma ke ma ke ke
prayer for His Holiness Dalai Lama in English. The wish granted, wish you good. And then we'll go to the swift return of lungs of Bruce Geshe. Hear this teacher.
Like people, the songs again when again informing. The thing that divided is looking long. You know, the music, participating to lessons of the machines from today, so you begin from which they don't feel the victorious. And there's no beginning from Susie in the way for the first medicine.
So the Lamayeshi reincarnation. Venerable one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. See you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
He's awesome.